And we're back. This is Don Emmett, host of the Money and More shows, Small Business Insight Edition. And we have a special guest in the studio today, renowned technologist and entrepreneur, Mr. Michael Tiemann.
I'm glad to be with you, Don. How are you?
Oh, great, Michael. Michael, thank you so much for coming to our studio here in Carborough and Chapel Hill, here at WCOM LP. Michael is a very interesting gentleman. I'm not sure if we're going to, well, in the course of the show, we'll delve into some of his areas of interest, but in the first segment, we're going to talk about specifically his amazing recording studio venture in Pittsburgh, North Carolina. So, Michael, tell us a little about Manifold Recording.
Sure thing. Manifold Recording is a high-end, carbon-neutral recording studio. It's located in Pittsburgh, North Carolina, but it was designed by somebody from Chapel Hill, Wes Lachaux. The studio broke ground in 2008. We opened in late 2011. We've won industry recognition. We were nominated for a tech award the year we opened in 2011, and we have had recording artists from every genre, ranging from singer-songwriters to the chamber orchestra, the Triangle, who brought 45 members in to record a soundtrack for Macbeth.
Wow. So, tell me, you're an executive at Red Hat, and obviously there's a passion for music and the idea of turning a passion into a business.
Yes. Well, Red Hat taught me a lot, actually, about creativity. I started the world's first open source software company in Silicon Valley in 1989, and I learned a lot about entrepreneurship and startups and cash flow and profits and things like that. But at Red Hat, I learned about design thinking and how the creative process actually works. And as I learned from those folks who brought design thinking to Red Hat, I realized that there was potentially an opportunity to innovate in how music was produced by integrating audiences with artists in the recording process.
So, in terms of the business model, is I'm sure it's a good bit of it's a labor of love, and I've seen pictures of the studio, and you've opened. What's the website so people can go?
Yeah, so manifoldrecording.com is our website. Andy Seitz from Carborough actually helped us design a new website that just launched in January.
Okay.
But manifoldrecording.com will tell you about our amazing music room where the magic happens, the control room where the magician actually works, Ian Schreier, our chief engineer. And the business model basically augments a standard recording studio model with the option of allowing audience members to actually sponsor productions and to enjoy the process of experiencing creativity up close.
Can you expand on that? How, I guess, somewhat almost a mini crowdsourcing model?
Yes, somewhat like that. A lot of recording studios are actually very small things. They're so small that often a whole band can't necessarily record at the same time. We have a really large tracking room, which is not only large enough to contain a band, but to also allow people who are fans of the band to sit and listen directly to the music as it's being recorded, or they can sit in the control room and basically hear what the engineer is doing. And our large speakers and acoustically accurate control room really gives people a perspective on music you can't get any other way.
So, in terms of, I guess, normally we talk about kind of the growth strategy.
Sure.
How long when did Manifold open?
So we started doing sessions in 2011.
Okay.
One of our first projects, actually our first project, was Zul Bailey, the world-renowned cellist, recording the Spanish Masters, a suite of cello and piano music by Manuel de Falla. And He came through a contact we had in Raleigh, North Carolina, and from there we have done projects. For example, Kat Robichaux was a graduate of North Carolina State University from the School of Design. She had a band called The Design, and she actually was a contestant on season 5 of The Voice. She made it into the top 10, had a whole bunch of ideas about doing a really powerful rock opera inspired album, and she came to the studio, did a Kickstarter project, raised about $50,000 to record that album, and she used that to launch what is now a very successful platform that she enjoys in San Francisco, California. Kat Robichaux at the Darling Misfits.
I'm curious, expanding on the business model of, does the studio in any way, I guess we have a couple of record companies here in the Triangle, and the distribution model has certainly changed for the recording industry. Have you partnered with some of do you help the artists get to the next level and get distribute them?
That's a really great point. Some of the record labels that are here in the Triangle area, Merge Records, Yep Rock, there are some really powerful labels that have done some really great things, and we have had some of their artists come into the studio. Brooklyn Rider has members who have participated in some of their recording projects as well. But so far, it has been more, it's been a little bit more arm's length. We would love to get some of those projects, and we're making progress on recruiting those artists to come to our studio instead of going up to Brooklyn or going out to Nashville or heading all the way to Los Angeles. We can make world-class recordings right here in North Carolina.
We've had Glenn Decker on the show from Yep Rock, and Red Eye Distribution, his parent company.
Yeah. No, he's doing great stuff. He has great taste. His artists are fantastic. One of the things which is a little bit ironic is that when somebody signs with a record label like Glenn's label, they have the freedom to go do whatever their dream was. And so they work with their dream producer who might be located in Boston or who might be located in New York. And we just need to let people know that their dreams can actually be realized right here in North Carolina.
I get the feeling, though, that I guess one of the changes in the music business is, I guess it used to be, with the majors, you signed a record contract and they gave you a bunch of money or a budget, which generally they held back against royalties.
Right.
And but I get the feeling that that world has probably changed.
That world has changed dramatically. But what has not changed is that artists still have fans, artists still have audiences, and those artists are looking for ways to connect with the artists. And what we've done is we've created a new channel whereby people who are a little bit nerdy about their music, a little bit nerdy about having a great experience with the artist, now have a completely new opportunity. They don't have to brave the beer and the distorted speakers. They can come into an environment and hear the music more like it might exist in the mind of the artist. And we're still happy that big time production companies. We just finished doing a project. Branford Marsalis was the composer for a film score of a HBO film that's coming out August 22nd. It's called The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. And when Branford wanted to work with a bunch of Durham-based musicians, he knew that he could produce an HBO-ready product at Manifold Recording. And he did.
Very cool. Very cool. So it kind of leads me in terms of getting, again, in the business strategy, I guess getting the word out, your client or recording customer acquisition.
So far it's been word of mouth. There's a couple of other venues who've been very, very helpful at attracting artists to the area and getting more of the word out. I mean, obviously right next door we have Cat's Cradle, which has been famous for bringing all kinds of artists to the Triangle, but a new venue, Haw River Ballroom, has also been bringing phenomenal artists. And what's really great is the word of mouth that when they're visiting Saxabaha, which is not even hardly on the map. It's not on the map of my GPS, for example. When people say, "Man, this is so wild. It's such a great thing is here," they say, there's something else you probably didn't know. There's a world-class recording studio right down the road in Pittsburgh. So the good news is that the surprise that people have about how great this area is translates into a little extra surprise that we're right down the road in Pittsburgh.
So, as this area, the Chapel Hill, the Triangle, the Chapel Hill Carborough area has a long and robust music tradition. Squirrel Nut Zippers and
absolutely
Ben Folds.
Yep.
Loudon Wainwright was born in the area. James Taylor grew up in the area.
James Taylor has been to the studio. Tom Maxwell has been to the studio, and we have people connected with Ben Folds who are looking at bringing him out here. Another great connection we have, Brent Lambert at the Kitchen Mastering is a nationally recognized mastering engineer. He's got projects every day of the week, and Brent has learned to let some of his clients know about Manifold recording as an option for those artists that would like to try something new and maybe get out of Nashville or leave behind the clatter of New York City and come to North Carolina and make a great record.
So that's a part, somewhat part of the process that you hear about. Obviously there's a recording process, and then you go, then Bob Clearmountain or somebody comes in and masters, I guess, takes all the master tapes and creates. Is that another income stream for you? Obviously, you're recording it.
It could be, but we actually really do like to spread that around. We love bringing clients to Brent because actually in this process of making a record, it's really valuable to have different sets of ears at different points along the project. And so typically an artist will bring in their producer, which is really the first set of ears. Our engineer, Ian Schreier, will be the second set of ears who builds that mix. Now, Ian also produces. He produced Cat's record. He produced Matt Phillips' album Move, which has gotten tremendous traction on Spotify. And sometimes clients need an all-in-one package, and Ian will master. But if we have the opportunity to bring that project to the kitchen, then Brent Lambert can do his bit. And when you have all that talent from producer to engineer to mastering engineer all working together, that's what can create a really profound product.
So another typical question that we ask here on the small business side is, I guess your and this probably can date back to your Red Hat experience. I guess is the people part of the equation. I know you have obviously you have engineers and technicians running the studio, and so how do you attract and maintain great people to your venture?
Well, a lot of it is being part of the community. We recently had an event last year, actually. Carl Palmer, the legendary drummer for Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and from Asia, he came to do a performance at Manifold Recording, and his rider required a piece of equipment that we didn't have, but we reached out to our community, and the live sound engineer for Shikori Hills, he had one in his personal collection, so we invited him to come out, and he brought his favorite roadie, his son, and with that equipment, we were able to deliver a fantastic show that the front of house engineer from Carl Palmer was happy about, we were happy about, and the audiences couldn't believe it. If you go to YouTube and you search for Carl Palmer and Miraverse, Miraverse is how we name the studio when it's a live recording, when it's a live performance.
Okay.
If you go to look at Carl Palmer, the Miraverse, you'll see some amazing video of him and his band playing 21st Century Schizoid Man, and welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends.
So that goes back, I guess, to
King Crimson.
King Crimson,
right? And Carl gives a great introductory speech in the video. He's, one of the first songs that Emerson, Lake and Palmer played was that, and Carl said, "But boy, we're a different band. Why should we be playing something from somebody else?" And he says that's when he realized they could play their own version, and that itself was creativity.
So we got a couple more moments in this segment. We'll talk about advice. What might you say was the best business advice that you've gotten in your career, and maybe what kind of advice might you give to an entrepreneur starting out?
Funny you should mention that. Very early in the studio's history, we were asked by best-selling author Dan Heath. He teaches at the Duke School of Business. And he wrote Switch, and he wrote Made to Stick and Decisive. And he contacted us to do a video for a web series he was doing. And of course, his video was giving business advice to his customers. But I was there operating the camera, so I was listening to his business advice. And he gives some fantastic business advice about making sure that when people come in, for the first experience they have should be absolutely fantastic. And that should be something that just puts them on another level. But it's also important that the last experience they have reminds them why that was such a great experience. And of course, you don't want to go down the hill too much in the middle, but there are these moments where you absolutely have to nail it. And it agrees with our own experience. When people come in and they say, wow, and when they leave and they say, I can't thank you enough, we know we've done our job.
So first impressions, obviously we know about.
Yes.
And
last
impressions. Or
exactly.
And that's what, in terms of the environment here in the Triangle for starting new businesses, how do you feel?
There are so many great people in the Triangle. There's a lot of creative potential. There's a lot of financial capital. But then there are also some things that we do to ourselves that make it not that great. One of the things that I've observed is that people who are coming into the studio, often they're on their way to, something larger outside the state. And I think that it's a shame that we aren't able to present a more sustainable opportunity to people who can remain in the state and build a reputation that is anchored here instead of started here.
That's a great story. We're going to be back with Michael in the second segment of the show. But meantime, Michael, could you tell our viewers on the Small Business Insights maybe how they can get in touch with you or
Sure.
Or get in touch with Manifold Recording?
Absolutely. If you go to the website, manifoldrecording.com, or you send an email to info@manifoldrecording.com, you can learn about the studio. Info comes to me. It also comes to my wife, Amy Tiemann, who co-owns the studio with me. And we would be happy to answer the questions you have about music production, etc.
Well, we're going to sign up for this version of Small Business Insights, but we'll be back in just a moment.